Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler. Welcome to Tyler's Guide. Today, we're going to be talking about growth mindset and how it has the potential to absolutely transform your life. So, what's the main thing that's holding someone back from taking a chance on something new? I would argue that it stems from not wanting to look dumb or not wanting to look bad at something, whether it's starting at the gym, trying a new hobby or activity, or choosing to take your life into a new direction. People are afraid to embarrass themselves. But what do all those things I just mentioned have in common? They all generate a few words that start with un, uncomfortable, unknown, uncertainty, and those are all the dreaded feelings that can stem from something we have limited experience with. Now, while these feelings may seem formidable, the consequences of being controlled by them are much worse. Unfortunately, many people never undo the resistance to dealing with these things, and as a result, they remain stagnant without growth. It is absolutely crucial that we allow ourselves to take risks and try new things. Our true potential lies within these challenges. To overcome our weaknesses and to transcend our former selves is the prize. We will always face new challenges, new problems in life, but how can we ever deal with these problems if we don't outgrow them? And that is why today I'm going to be covering what a growth mindset is, why it's kind of difficult to switch to the mindset, and just how you can start developing that growth mindset today. So let's get right into it. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and effort. Someone with this mindset views challenges and setbacks as opportunities to grow rather than signs of failure. Now, the opposite of this would be having a fixed mindset, which I would argue the majority of people have, my former self being included, not being a hypocrite here. But a person with a fixed mindset is someone who believes that intelligence and capabilities just are what they are. They're probably not going to change much. Now, that sounds kind of awful when you say it out loud, right? I think it's pretty safe to say we all inherently know that a fixed mindset is just wrong. Everyone has seen at least one person, whether they know them personally or seen like a famous person, make some crazy change in their life. Just a completely different person, different direction, something. It really comes down to how we interpret that change that makes all the difference. We need to recognize that change is possible when we combine learning, effort, and practice. We have to be willing to be bad at something in order to get better. A failure should not be seen as a tragedy, but rather as an opportunity to improve. Now, that is what having a growth mindset means. And to go just a little bit deeper, the concept of neuroplasticity is really where this growth mindset gets its value. Neuroplasticity is, just really quickly, the ability to change and adapt to new circumstances, new challenges, new stimuli. And there's actually a study by the NIH they did in 2018 where they did brain scans on two groups of people. The first group being people with fixed mindsets, and the second group being people with growth mindsets. When these two groups of people were faced with challenging tasks as part of the experiment, the growth mindset people showed large amounts of brain activity all over the place, while the fixed mindset people showed little to no activity at all. Not surprisingly, the growth mindset people were the ones who consistently showed improvement, and they eventually overcame and accomplished the tasks. When someone looks at life through the lens of growth, the brain literally responds by putting in more effort to adapt and overcome these challenges. As someone grows in this way, so do the possibilities and scope of their life. Now, embracing challenges and looking for growth and development sounds great, right? But that's where it gets a little difficult because sounding great and then actually doing it are two different things, right? If most of us inherently know that a fixed mindset is wrong, why are so many people operating within this mindset? Well, it's a lot easier to avoid challenges and not have to put in effort or face the failure that could potentially happen. Trust me on this one, take my word for it. I know I had a fixed mindset probably for as long as I can remember. Since I was a kid, I avoided things or I quit things that made me feel uncomfortable, and I learned to fear challenges rather than embracing them. As a result, I didn't grow very much, and my life gradually became smaller and smaller as I transitioned into my adult life. Simply put, my life just kind of became a boring shell. A fixed mindset was a way for me to protect myself, but this ended up causing me more suffering in the end. That way of protecting myself was a result of none other than the ego. The ego has a large role in this equation of mindset. An uncontrolled ego will do anything to avoid looking stupid or non-congruent with what it believes your identity should be. The ego is the part of our identity that shapes our self-image, our self-esteem, and it also influences how we perceive ourselves and how we want other people to perceive us. While the ego is very good at keeping us alive, it is not very good at leading us to a fulfilled life. We need to learn how to switch from this ego-driven thought pattern for survival, and we need to choose to learn how to think about thriving. The difference between surviving and thriving is very important and pretty easy to understand. Thankfully, we're surviving. We can't thrive without surviving. We got to be here. And thankfully, our ego did get us here. So thank you, ego. But now we have to learn how to thrive. And that's going to be pretty challenging. Really, the most challenging part of overcoming the ego is being able to separate yourself from it and recognize when it's dictating your thoughts and actions. This is the crucial prerequisite to truly living your life with a growth mindset. So, how do we develop the growth mindset? Now, before we get into that, today I'd like to have a word from today. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a sponsor. I'm not that big yet. But so let me say this again, though. It is not easy to switch to a growth mindset. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of effort, and you have to be constantly reminding yourself of why you're doing this. And you have to remember that change can and will happen. For sure. It's going to happen. So there's really three major things from my own personal journey towards developing a growth mindset. And the first of those things is mindfulness. Now, I know I've talked about this extensively, but it has to be the first priority because you really can't change the way you think if you're not even aware of what you're thinking. When I first started trying to shift my growth mindset, I always found myself kind of going right back to it. Like, I'd have the initial thought of, oh, this is part of the process. But then over here, it's just like, oh, this sucks. Oh, it's so uncomfortable. You just kind of find yourself going down the old patterns, right? And I wasn't really fully aware of it. And it wasn't until I focused on being mindful that I found more consistent changes in my thoughts. Because then I would get to the same thing where I'm like, it's part of the process, we're growing. And then when the negative thoughts come, because they're always going to come, I think, right? Like, I think the point is learning through mindfulness that we can now stop them and go back to the good ones and push those bad ones to the side. Hopefully they go away. I don't know. And here's a couple easy ways you can start practicing mindfulness. The first one would be journaling. So, for example, you could just journal about maybe a time that you were controlled by a fear of a challenge and you didn't really overcome it. This can help bring some awareness to those situations. The other way I'd recommend is 10 minutes a day of meditation. Everybody has 10 minutes. Don't listen to yourself. Just put in the 10 minutes. It really helps you learn not to react to the thoughts or the uncomfortable feelings when you want to move. Because if you're new to meditation, you're going to be sitting there like, oh my God, this feels like it's been an hour. And then you're going to check. You'll probably give in to that. And you'll see it's only been 3 minutes. You're like, oh shit, I just need to get through this. And then the last way I'd say to practice mindfulness would be with breathing exercises. And you can really do any one you want, but these really help you maintain your composure within your moments of challenge. You can just start by practicing, you just want to breathe deeply through your nose and out. Just do like in for 4, out for 4. And I recommend doing this while walking. Whenever I take my walks, I try and do a little bit of breathing practices. It's a really good way to clear your mind and get some fresh air. So now we got the mindfulness down. Number 2, you want to set realistic goals. So now that we've dropped our egos a bit, we really want to set realistic goals that are moving us towards growth. And these goals are going to need to be input or effort focused at first. So let's use fitness as an example. The point of going to the gym is to look and feel better. But those things take a pretty decent amount of time before you actually start noticing or seeing the results. So setting a goal to get abs and to bench 225, it's just a bad goal. While they are very ambitious and I respect it, they're just really unrealistic for somebody who has little to no experience working out. So again, the correct goals, you're going to want to make them focused on effort or input. So the better goals would be to go to the gym 3 times a week, work out for at least an hour each of those times, and then do 5 exercises within those workout sessions. The difference with these goals is they're effort and input focused. We have direct control over them, and over time it's going to move us towards those bigger goals, such as having abs or lifting impressive weights. So now we're aware of how we're thinking, and we have some realistic goals in place that are going to move us towards growth. That all sounds lovely, but let's not forget how unnatural and difficult this new way of thinking is probably going to feel. We got to remember we've been thinking a certain way, maybe like a fixed mindset, for a very long time. And our ego is going to desperately want to cling to this sense of normalness, sense of identity. Neuroplasticity takes about 30 days to start like kicking in and rewiring, and that's just to see changes, period. Now, for it to actually solidify and be like part of you, it could take months, it could even take years sometimes, depending on how ingrained the other behaviors were. And this is where commitment is absolutely necessary. A commitment to yourself, your future self, your family or your future family, and even to your ancestors. Like, I have a letter to myself that I read every day when I wake up, and it's titled "The Life I Will Live If I Don't Change." It's just, I think I got it right here. Not for y'all to read, that's personal, but it's proof I do have it. But pretty much it's just talking about the miserable life that I will live if I don't overcome challenges and I let fears dictate my life. I highly recommend that you get real with yourself and you write one. You gotta stay committed to changing the way you think. Your literal quality of your existence depends on it. And that's it. That's all I got for y'all today. I guess I just like to end on saying it is possible. If you are in a situation that you're not really liking right now, or maybe you got some things that you want to work on, you want to be a different person, right? Like, that's great. And I would hate to see people, I mean, I do see it often where people want to change, they want different things for themselves, but they continue doing the same things. They continue thinking the same way. And what I'm offering y'all today is a different way of thinking, a different way of viewing the world that not only benefits you with literal progress and changing, but just the way you feel. I mean, if you have a fixed mindset and you think I'm stuck, like the black pill people, right? They think they're fucked. They're not getting a girl because they're short or they're ugly or they're broke. That they're never going to change. But it's when you come away from that negativity, you shift to the positivity of potential, the positivity of effort, the positivity of I'm going to make a change and nothing's going to stop me. Even if I don't make the change, I'm going to keep going because I will grow. And maybe I won't be whatever it is I want to be, but I'm not going to be who I am right now because I know I want to change. Now that's the end of my rant on that one. I just really feel passionately about this. I appreciate y'all stopping in today to check out the content, and I really do hope that you found this to be valuable. If you enjoy reading, be sure to check out my blog. I literally write about word for word almost what I'm talking about here, and that is tylersguide.us. If you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care, everybody.